Howdy, folks. I'm fascinating Frisia Fritillary, freely floating over flowery fields.
I'm Amber.
And here's another flowery field for us to float over fields of Reddit stories. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Eating So Many Beans? For the past 6 months, I've been on a huge bean kick. I'm eating all types of beans, cooked all sorts of ways. Always eating some beans each day. They're cheap, they're healthy, and most importantly, they're delicious. My boyfriend has been getting increasingly annoyed at my meals with beans. He says it's too many beans and that I'm being ridiculous. He's starting to get angry with me when I serve myself a meal with beans. I keep making them and I don't want to stop. Who am I hurting by making beans? I'm saving money on the grocery budget by doing it. Am I the jerk for eating so many beans? Alright, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, Opie does mention in the comment that her boyfriend isn't eating these, so she's just making food for herself. What the audacity of him telling her that she's being weird and shouldn't be eating this? Like, beans are nutritious and filling and budget friendly, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why OP should adjust their diet to go along with what their boyfriend wants. I mean, I think this is an absurd thing that he's saying. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Morale1 says, Seriously, I want the recipes. And OP replies, I usually don't use a recipe. I make it from heart. I make bean salsa, bean salad, baked black beans, barbecue beans, Indian dishes, soup, stews, curries, and also add beans to things like taco meat and salads. Beans have so many uses. I mean, they're a really healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
And Not For Lover Money says, You're the jerk. Variety is the spice of life. Eating the same thing every day is boring. If you're doing this to get him to cook, use your words like he did. He said that he was sick of beans. And OP replies, I do make a wide variety of bean meals. I also don't expect him to eat my bean meals. We have big differences in taste, so we always have cooked for ourselves. So he doesn't eat my beans, and I don't expect it. And I don't want him to, honestly. More beans for me. And Major Ad 5982 says, Not the jerk. It sounds like a classic case of legumophobia. And OP replies, The way people discriminate has gone too far. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to take my shoes off in my friend's house, causing his wife to cancel the D&D session for everyone? Posting this on a throwaway because my friends know my name. I'm a 38-year-old male and I was invited to a D&D session with 4 other people at my friend Alex's, a 34-year-old male's house. When I got there, his wife answered the door and immediately asked me to take my shoes off because they have a strict no shoes policy due to them having a crawling baby. And I explained that I have a medical condition called epidermolysis bullosa simplex, EBS, which makes the skin on my feet extremely fragile. Even mild friction or pressure can cause painful blisters and tears, so I have to wear supportive shoes with cushioned orthopedic insoles at all times, even indoors. Walking barefoot or just in socks causes me pain and can lead to bleeding. Well, she suggested that I push grocery bags or socks over my shoes, but I told her that would be unsafe for walking and honestly just insulting. She said that she can't compromise on her baby's health for my comfort. When Alex came to the door, he told me to, quote, just deal with it for a couple of hours, or I wasn't welcome inside. I told him that I wasn't going to risk injuring myself over a D&D session, and if my shoes were that big of an issue, I would respectfully leave. As I walked back to the car, I overheard the wife telling the other guests that were already there that the night was off because I made a huge scene at the door. Later, I got a group text from Alex saying that he was canceling D&D night because it's not fair to expect everyone else to pretend that nothing happened. Well, some mutual friends say that I overreacted and I could have just gotten over it, while others think that Alex and his wife were being ridiculous for ruining everyone else's plans just because I decided not to stay. So am I the jerk? Edit, I should add that I texted our group friend chat a few days ago about my concerns with my condition because we changed the location of the meetup to his house instead of mine. Alex reassured me that I shouldn't worry about it, so I didn't bring my indoor shoes. Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, you had a legitimate medical reason. If they were going to have an issue with it, like, okay, that they could tell you to leave, but you left peacefully. To cancel on everyone and like make you out to be the villain just feels like a very cruel and kind of manipulative thing to do.
You know, I think there's a little bit of nuance here, but I mean, for the most part, I think that OP is not in the wrong at all. And they had an expectation when they were told that the place was moving to a different house and that they would be allowed to wear shoes. OP does mention that they do have indoor shoes, and it could be that the friend assumed that he was going to wear those indoor shoes. I'm not sure what was going through this friend's mind, but the fact that OP was reassured that they shouldn't have to worry about anything kind of feels a little underhanded, the fact that they now have changed their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it would have been onerous for OP to wear socks over their shoes or wear bags over their shoes. I don't think that it would have been humiliating. I mean, everyone's going to, of course, have their own preference, own feelings on something like that, right? And if OP does feel humiliated by that, then I mean, that's certainly something that he feels, and that's very real, right?
I think it's more, I mean, maybe I'm just extrapolating, but I thought it was more like safety concerns, because like wearing bags over your shoes is not necessarily a very safe thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, he makes it sound like it's both a safety thing and a that the shoe that they would be humiliating. I can't remember what he said exactly. Oh, insulting. That's what he said. Insulting. He suggested that I put grocery bags over or socks over my shoes, and I told her that was unsafe for walking and just honestly just insulting. I mean, I don't know if it would have been that unsafe, because I mean, people put bags over their shoes sometimes when they're doing maintenance and stuff like that. I know our maintenance people don't do that, but you know.
Yeah, I would not put bags over my shoes. I would be too concerned about the issues it could have. I would not fare well.
So, but I mean, I think that this is fundamentally a misunderstanding. I think that they overreacted, the hosts. I think that they should have been a little bit more, I guess, kind to OP in that regard.
Like, cause like if they wanted OP to leave, they didn't have to cancel the whole
Mm-hmm.
game night, and like to be blaming it on OP, I feel like it's unfair. Like,
Yeah.
if they had different expectations, they had different expectations. They could have just been like, "Oh, sorry, maybe next time."
Yeah, I think them canceling was pretty immature. I just don't think that this was cancel worthy. I think they just kind of wanted OP to feel bad for defying them, which is just poor form. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Halation 2600 says, do they have cats or dogs? People who let pets track wherever around but freak out about shoes are definitely the jerk. People who have babies and insist on this are probably the jerk too. These folks never learned that nothing is as clean as you think it is, and that's generally okay. And Opie replies, they do have a dog. And both of those comments were severely downvoted, which I don't understand. And Exotic Knowledge 243 says, don't know why you could have just covered your shoes with bags. And Hello Farmer says, this is the answer. Maintenance people do this all the time when they enter houses. It does not affect how well you walk, and it seems like it would have been a good compromise. You're the jerk for thinking that it was insulting. I mean, that was kind of my feeling. I mean, I think that there should have been some level of compromise given like the miscommunication. If OP had brought their indoor shoes, then it would have been a lot, hopefully would have resolved the issues.
I don't know. I feel I'm gonna disagree and say that OP was like free to walk. They didn't cause any issues.
Oh, they were free to walk. I mean, I'm not calling them a jerk for walking. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Paying 1/3 of my salary for my kids' college? Both of my kids are in college. Through my teaching job, my kids can attend private college, $55,000 plus tuition for free, or one of our exchange colleges for close to free. My kids don't like any of the colleges in the list, including mine. My ex is proposing that it is fair to pay the amount of the state's college tuition plus room and board, though they could live at home if they attended there. The cost is $30,000 per kid, which means $30,000 each, my ex and I. $30,000 is over a third of my annual salary. My ex has already told the kids that it's a done deal, that I will pay, and she said, whatever you decide to pay, and she will somehow take care of the rest. So clearly the expectation is, if I'm not a total jerk, that I'll split it half and half. She makes less than I do. I don't want to pay for any of it. I stuck with this job in part for the benefits, the tuition benefit specifically. I also don't want to say, okay, I'll pay $5,000 per kid per year because they could be going for free and they chose not to, because then I'm the jerk. But am I the jerk here? Help. I feel like a stingy jerk, but I would really like to have some boundaries. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Like, assuming that this is a reasonable accredited school, like, there's nothing wrong with that. And if the kids want to go elsewhere, they can pay for it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to go to certain schools, but they were certainly outside of my price range, right?
Well, that's the thing, is like, I only applied to UMaine because I was like, I'm going to get the financial aid for this. And that's about, the extent of it. That was what I felt pretty safe on. And so the kids, I'm assuming it's some kind of college, hopefully equivalent to like UMaine or something like that.
Yeah.
A state school, or and those are perfectly good schools. You can get a wonderful education there.
Well, they say they worked at a private school.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, a private school. So like, yeah, hopefully it's a good private school.
I mean, it could be that it's a bad private school, but it could also be that it's a very good private school. And the thing is, like, you can make the most of your education. Now, I could understand them not wanting to attend the college that their parent is at, because that could make for, like, if they're trying to, like, get out of the house and explore and stuff like that, then that could be a little bit, feel like a little too close for comfort, right?
Right, but it sounds like they get a discount on the other area schools as well, which, given that, it's like, not even just, like, I'd understand a little more if they were restricted to one school. Like, not every school is going to be a good fit for every student. But it sounds like they have a lot of options and they are just choosing not to take any of them.
Yeah, and I also want to know what kind of conversations they had leading up to them going to college, right? Because if he never voiced that this was the reason why he has his job, right, then those kids may not have been aware of that. I think if they had sat down with the kids and said, look, at the beginning of their high school, if you're serious about going to a college, you're going to have to earn a scholarship. Other than the one that your dad teaches at, you're going to have to sit down, earn a scholarship in order to, find a way to go to that school, because we're not going to be able to afford that, right? And if that conversation was never had and OP just assumed that they would be fine with going to this college, then maybe that would be a little bit more problematic. But I think that it's a very reasonable thing for OP to have offered them free tuition at this school, right? Like, if you want something beyond the free option, then you kind of have to pay for it yourself if OP can't afford it. And, like, if OP wants to, they can, of course, like, help to some degree. It would be nice. I mean, OP is their parent. But given that they're also able to offer such a massive discount, it seems like a pretty wasted opportunity for them to not take him up on it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's such a steep percentage of OP's salary too on top of that it's not even feasible.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Acceptable Piece 69 says, you're the jerk unintentionally, probably. If you at some point early with your kids were in high school and you sat them down and said, these are the schools that you can attend that will cost you nothing. If you choose a different school, you'll need a scholarship or to work to pay for it. Then no complaints. Your ex should have told them the same. You're a jerk because you're making your ex and your kids out to be the villains, since their choices were not the ones that you made for them. That's your lack of planning. Preparing for this type of decision that will impact your kids' lives far more than yours should have begun long ago, before your expectations and limitations should have been made crystal clear so that they could have adjusted. And OP replies, entirely fair. Thank you for your honesty, and ultimately you're right. That's the real issue here. I mean, given that it sounds like OP didn't actually give them a heads up on that, that's a bit of a poor planning a bit on their part.
Yeah, but like, a lot of parents don't sit their kids down and like, you can't just assume that your college is going to be paid for unless you come from like a super wealthy family.
Yeah.
Like, I knew my family was not going to be able to pay for my college, not because they wouldn't want to, but the finances just weren't there.
Yeah.
And so, given Opie and his wife's salaries, like, I can't fathom why the kids would just, especially since there's multiple kids who need to go through college, can't fathom why they would just assume that it was paid for.
Yeah. I don't even know if my parents would have paid for my college had they been able to afford it. So, I mean, certainly, like, you do have to be prepared when you're a kid and are in a family, if you're getting ready, if your parents haven't explicitly told you that they're going to pay for your school, then maybe it's a wise idea to get clarification on that before, sending out your applications and stuff like that. And Love Fashion says, in another reply, you mentioned a 5-bedroom home where your ex and you live with the kids. I would bet selling that house and moving into a smaller one could offset the financial load for your ex's wife's decision to pay for college. I'm not understanding. Elsewhere, you stated that you make $85,000. If you are divorced and your kids are grown, why are you sharing expenses with a friend and barely making it in a wrecked mobile home? Why do you not have the money for a reasonable apartment or condo for yourself? Surely you could get a place with an extra bedroom for the girls to bunk up and restart their plans. Who got the big fancy house in the divorce? Are you paying spousal support? Or are you on the hook for the kids until they reach a certain age? I could see 21 years old being supplemented somehow, but the older daughter really needs to find their own way. The kids should be struggling to make rent and feeling the thrill of accomplishment when they're able to succeed. None of this makes sense. And OP replies, I just found out that neither of us are on the deed for the house. Technically, her mom has paid for some of it. The details of that are yet another tangle of financial strangeness. So my wife, despite living in it for the foreseeable future and inheriting it when her mom passes, or inheriting whatever its sale buys, has decided not to count it among her assets in the divorce, which we are in the midst of. If you said that I should know these things and that it's egregious that I don't, you would be right. I abdicated a huge amount of authority and control to my wife, in part because I was irresponsible, and that's on me. My wife runs the family business. She claims that she has an income from that, but I started and ran that business in the first place. She also is getting the business, which she claims at a bare minimum. And I'm not seeing the numbers add up. I've paid for all of us in the main. My kids don't support themselves at all. So that salary has an effect. Had to cover the bulk of the expenses for 2 households, essentially a family of 4 living in 2 separate locations. Now that our finances are separate, I've watched my bank account grow. My wife claimed that I'm the one who spent all of our money, and the fact that we didn't actively budget is a real problem, and I know that. But right now, I'm not seeing that. When I'm careful about what I do and don't pay for, and I'm paying for things like phone bill for all of us, her mom, and the business, which is $400 a month, even with those things, my finances are now magnitudes better. I hope that explained that clearly enough. Well, what do you think of all that?
I mean, it sounds like a mess. I get kind of lost in all the details of it, but it sounds like OP's soon-to-be ex has not budgeted finances very well, but has also benefited significantly from everything, and it's just kind of a raw deal.
Kind of sounds almost like financial abuse.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if she's been like socking away money or something like that in like cash assets and getting ready for the divorce.
Could very well be.
And it's an unfortunate situation because it sounds like OP really wanted what was best for their family and worked really hard and, didn't want to, I understand them not paying attention to the finances because if you're running a household on the day to day and you trust your spouse and you trust that they're going to do the right thing, I don't know that you can blame yourself when they don't outright admit that things are out of control or they haven't really made it clear what's wrong with the finances.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you should both have an eye on it, but I mean, how close of an eye do you really need if your spouse is telling you everything's fine, don't worry about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I do a lot of the bills and stuff like that in our bank accounts and stuff like that, and I mean, like, Amber doesn't, like, look over my shoulder.
No.
Oh, I just tell her, oh, this is, how we're doing type of thing, right?
Right.
And I could be lying to her. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there wouldn't be anything to stop someone from lying to their spouse in a situation like that.
Well, that's the thing, is you need some level of trust in your spouse. And, like, while it is good for both people to have an idea of the finances, it's not like I look at every minutia because I trust that Brian is handling it. And, I can't blame people for having some faith in their partner.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What might you say about a fast-moving anthology?
Oh, I would say a fast-moving anthology is an anthology you would probably want to read, and if you can catch it. But I mean, if you can't catch it, then I mean, I guess you can't read it. But throw a spear at it, and maybe you'll be able to get it.
It really booked it.
Oh,
And it's National Book Lovers Day.
ooh.
Wait.
So if you love books, go find yourself a book.
Like maybe Little White Flowers.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Since it's Book Lovers Day, make sure to go find a good book like this book, Little White Flowers.
Yes, it's available most places you can buy books, and there's a hardcover edition coming out on October 7th.
Ooh.
So if you're a hardcover fan, there are pre-orders up, but it will be available officially on October 7th.
Which is pretty awesome. And I have a special guest tea today. Now this one is not too bad. It actually smells very nice. I showed Amber the tea. It's called Dandelion Caramel Nut. Now, the thing about this one is that it's from Ticino Roasted Herbal Teas. And I have no idea where we got this tea from, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I have no idea also.
I was looking through our tea cabinet and it appeared. So
it was magicked from the ether.
Yeah, it was magicked from the ether. You may not even be able to find this tea because it might be from a different plane of existence. Let's put it that way.
That would explain why it smells so heavenly.
A swirl of sweet and creamy caramel against roasted dandelion and chicory seeds, enhanced by dates, figs, and almonds. It does actually have a sweet taste to it. Here are the ingredients though. Organic carob, organic chicory, organic dandelion, root, organic dates, or almonds, organic figs, natural flavors. Contains almonds and hazelnuts. So let me kind of describe this tea to you. So the major flavors though, I would say, the sweetness from the figs and dates. Carob kind of has a chocolatey flavor to it. I don't get the chocolate in this at all. But I do get like the almond, I do get like the caramel. I get like some of those, flavors, almost like an almond extract kind of like flavor in it if you've had almond extract. But and the smell on the bag is actually like really, really tasty. So of the special guest teas, I know I've gone on about this one for quite a while. I actually think this is one of my favorite special guest teas. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it entitled requests.
Don't try to control what your partner is eating just because you don't personally like it.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.